I wanted to thank you for taking the time to listen to this. Um, it's been my honest desire to never have to do this, but it seems that that's just where we are today. Um, and so I figure I should introduce you to who I am. I've had many names, but I think for the purpose of this project and this podcast, I'm going to go by the name of Mr. I Don't Know. For my own safety and for yours. That might sound ominous. I don't mean it to. The purpose of this effort or project sort of started around September 2022 when I was trying to make sense of the world in preparation for a marriage. And what I decided to do during that period of time was start to record little voice memos anytime I was alone, and sometimes listening to music or watching movies or TV or something like that, or YouTube debates or just anything really. And it was just an effort to try to organize my thoughts. Over time, this effort started to serve as a level of testimony. And while, as you'll see, it's a lot of this hinges on the philosophical, the theological, the metaphysical, and the sort of astrological, it is never my intent to sort of dissuade you of anything, but rather to explain to you how my brain works. I think over time, it will make more sense if I can sort of explain it in writing rather than explaining it via this medium. And so during that same period, I was writing a book at the time. I've written a book before, but this one, most of my work tends to hinge on my own world and the world around me. And as the world sort of became less and less believable, as truth became less important, as rationality became less and less significant, it started to drive me a little bit mad. And so the frequency of the voice memos or the recordings increased. That is all to say that over the course of this entire project, it was never my real intent to release any of this. And as things got weirder and as things got more specific, I started to reach a period where that sort of left my control. And so, in an effort to try to be honest and to try to tell the truth all the time, and as I told my parents recently, this Christmas, and for context, this is Christmas of 2023. So after Christmas of 2023, I tried to explain to them that for me, telling the truth is sort of pathological. I physically feel pain on my inside if I lie to you. Really any person, but... And so my entire life has been an effort to try to learn how to communicate to people hard truths and even simple, not so hard truths in a way that would allow for them to be able to hear it. And while this may not be singularly a spiritual project, I would say that spirituality is a key function and purpose of this project. I would identify personally as a Christian, but what that actually means, you'll have to listen to the rest of the podcast, because it doesn't mean Christianity in the way in which you may think of it. And so I'm in this space with these ideas and these sort of positionings and changing environments and becoming older and older. And as things start to fall further and further into place, it would be my pleasure to not have to do or say any of this. But if I'm being honest, very little that I say or do come from me. And so, left with very limited choices, I must obey. See, because it seems that as time has gone on and as time has gotten less specific, we have thrown truth into the dumpster and we have left humility at a door. And so when I say to you that I'm trying my darndest to be sort of submissive to God's will here, it is painful. But most things, most truth is painful. And religion and philosophy, education, economics, policy, morality, ethics, everything used to hinge on these set of moral rules or these laws that we've established. In the purpose of establishing laws and rules, or to sort of create boundaries for how we have conversations that are harder. But as those boundaries are destroyed brick by brick, it seems that we're left with an overflowing dam. People prefer lies, people prefer comfort, people prefer the immediate. And it has become so difficult to sort of talk to people. It has become so difficult to explain to people why something is the way that it is. My favorite thing now is that because of TikTok's creation, because TikTok now exists, we are left with a universe of people spouting their opinions into the world. And so this dam of information has left an entire population seemingly begging for authority to sort of quiet the noise, level things out, keep things moving in a consistent direction. But we live in a time that seems to be at the end of time. There doesn't seem to be a desire to do right or seek the best or seek the most truth. It's just existing, hoping that when it ends, it goes swiftly. That you can extract as much joy out of this thing before it's done. And it seems, and I don't know where this is happening, I don't know why this is happening, but it seems to be in everyone. Like poison. And so, because it's in everyone, because it's a poison, you have one person that's like, I go to church and I try to find God there, but I don't see him. I try to talk to my family, but they don't understand. I go to work, and work seems fine, but I just can never get that same joy that I thought I would have. Finally made the amount of money, I bought the house, I got the car, and I just am not happy. There's just so much unhappiness. There's so much hate. And I just don't think you all deserve that anymore. And so I think it's time that you know the truth. And how much of it you can handle, how much of it you can stick with, that will be up to you. But what I do know is that you all must be afforded the opportunity to hear it. And while, again, it would be better for me to just sort of sit here and hoard it and not talk about it and not explain it and not tell you what has happened and not show you God's glory, but that would be selfish. And so today I will show you. You'll be slow. And you will have questions. But all I ask is that you be open to the possibility that everything around you is wrong. I get that you don't believe me. I get you don't agree with me. I get that in your core you want to tell me, shut the fuck up. I get it. I really do. You are not the first person to tell me to shut the fuck up. You are not the first person to tell me I am wrong. You are not the first person to disappoint me. But, as I think I have always said, as I think all people have always said, we must at least offer you the opportunity to hear it. Because if you don't have even the opportunity to hear the truth, then how can we fault you for believing a lie? I'm going to tell you the real truth. Now, over this project, I'm going to edit these things so that some of the long pauses and or mental calculations, you don't have to suffer through those. I will attempt to add additional information and make it known when I am adding additional information from a period that is not from the period in which a recording was made. And once the universe of archived recordings or voice memos have been distributed, I will start a new period of recordings. I really wish you all the best. I don't know. All monarchies are sort of ridiculous at this point in time. I just don't get it, to be honest. I just don't get it. Like, what is the point? What is the point? Because then they're always claiming, like, divine, authority, right? That's the underpinning of all of these monarchies. The underpinning is they have been divinely chosen and they get to be monarch. Who gives a shit about that? Like, I don't... Like, I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get it. What I really don't get is why people tolerate it. Why do people tolerate someone saying that I've been divinely chosen? To me, that is the funniest part of this whole thing. Is that that's the underpinning. Oh well. So be it. I also don't understand is sort of how we got here, I think we've existed in a time that has basically shown us so many bad things. Like from first grade onwards, I have experienced just so many firsts and just so many just terrible firsts, right? Like over really just a single generation, that sort of tail end of millennial versus that tail end of Gen Z. And because I've had to experience so much of this nonsense, I'm at the point where I'm just assuming you guys are okay with the chaos, but I would rather to just chill. And you guys won't let us fucking chill. We just want to chill. That's it. We just got jobs. We're trying to figure out how banks work, how credit cards work. And we just, yeah. I am what they call an absurdism person. Is that what it is? Absurdist. That's the term for the person that is that is into absurdism. Probably also a nihilist too. Yeah, I just wish we were all nicer. I think the hope is because our generation is just so over this bullshit. We've been rallying and protesting and doing all the shit for so long that we've reached our point of just saying, nope, we're done with it. We're done with it. We're going in the house. We're hanging out here. You guys fuck off. We'll see. I don't know. I hope things get better. I really do. I really do. Yeah. The Bible really is the same thing back and forth. It's a book of contradictions. And the reason for the contradictions is because none of these fucking motherfuckers understood any of it. They didn't understand any of it. And they were trying to piecemeal these different languages and trying to translate it into something. And it's an oral tradition, so you're translating something that could have very well just been said differently into something else. It lies. It's not a real thing, right? That is the underpinning of all art, all writing, all fucking literature, all movies, all music is written from this perspective of trying to make something that's semi-true sound a little bit more true. And it comes with its own biases, it comes with its own bullshit, it comes with its own, sort of, this guy said this, but fuck that guy. It's all these same things, and yet we believe it. And because we believe it, we drop it down for a little bit and just see how it feels to try to, find God in the unexpected fucking places, right? Try to find God in a place where you are able to come at it from humility, right? This just basic, humility that, look, I have this perspective, it's possible that, maybe some of our shit's a little wonky, but I come with this perspective, I'm open to hear other things, right? Come with that. Stop trying to latch it all down to this singular time in history, the rigidity that these freaking organized religions have for what a God would be willing to say or do is just so mind-boggling. It's absurd. It's absurd. It is an absurd ideology, and I just don't get it. I really don't understand. But whatever. I think focusing on all of that has resulted in so much chaos and bad things. And if you were to ask God, God would be like, I'm profoundly disappointed in humanity. I don't know if we are ever going to get back to being a place that isn't going through something just terrible. I think that's everywhere. I think this is sort of the late stage capitalism that we sort of have to deal with. I'm lucky in a sort of respect, is that as a lawyer, I hedge on this sort of bad thing. The bet is that this will continue to get worse. 100%. It is going to get worse. And as it gets worse, people won't be able to afford what they're going to live. People already can barely, the 50% of people that you need to service this new sort of inequality, they can hardly afford to even live close enough to service you. And once that happens, you're either going to have to pay them more, or you're going to have to do something different. That's really, that's the equation. You're either going to pay them more, or you're going to have to do something different.
We're investing in renewables and low carbon solutions through 2025, and modernizing our energy infrastructure to lower our emissions.
I don't know.
To a sustainable energy future.
I think the most likely scenario is that it just continues to get worse, and we don't realize it because we are so insulated. And at that point, we will live in hell forever. Right. And I'll come up and they'll be like, okay, we can hang out here. I think that's sort of our trajectory is what I think is likely to happen. But could be wrong. Could be, maybe we can shovel it down. I don't know. I am. I am one who does not understand a lot of things. I'm one who does not understand a lot of things. We have gone so awry. It really is. It's sad. And we just had a plague, and no one seemed to care. Like we reached a point where we've gotten so insulated that we can't even notice plagues anymore. Like we're like, it's from there. It's like that's wild to me. That's wild. And we're just gonna keep pretending that it doesn't matter. And so the next one will be worse, and then the next one will be worse, and then the next one will be worse. Until at some point, midway through, people will start to realize, right? And because people will start to realize, because people will understand at that point, they will be able to, probably become closer to God. Or at least be able to see that, that whole thing about like God not talking to you guys back when we were, in 2000, and yet you're just choosing not to listen at this point. Like, no, he's still talking. So if he's still talking, maybe he has, opinions on things. If you're wanting to listen. But instead of listening, what we do is we fuck off. We fuck off. That's sort of where we are as a country right now.